All right, it is a live ACC Baseball Championship edition of ACC Baseball Etc. Presented, as always, by Pitch Logic, the system used by players, coaches, scouts, and instructors at all levels of play, from youth leagues to the big leagues. The easy-to-use and affordable technology makes the platform accessible to every player at every level. All the metrics and features used at the highest level. Go to pitchlogic.com for more information. If you are watching, you see that I'm with someone. It is the ACC's two-time Defensive Player of the Year, North Carolina center fielder Vance Honeycutt, on an off day,
right.
Able to just chill and watch some ball and talk some ball. How you feeling about this week? I know we were talking before we started recording that you like this setting because, as opposed to the tournament being in Durham, you guys are actually in a hotel. It feels like a road trip more than that, because you're so close to Durham. You don't stay there.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love it here. I know all the guys love it here. We were debating on leaving Monday. Actually, we were trying to pack it up early and get on down here. No, it's good being here. I think just to kind of, like you said, just getting on the road, getting in a hotel. Everyone knows, we're here for one reason, and it's more of that, away series feeling rather than just coming back and forth.
Yeah. Now that to me, Vance, is a pretty funny juxtaposition, because I know you guys love playing at the Bosch, so you like playing close to home. What's that balance like throughout a season, right? It's a different feel playing at home versus playing on the road, but you seem to me like a guy who very much likes sort of the business trip aspect of playing on the road.
Yeah, there's definitely a common ground to it somewhere. We've always been good at home ever since I've been here, even before I was here. My freshman year, actually, Danny Soretti used to tell us, take care of business at home and, avoid getting swept on the road. And then you look up in June and you're going to have, some good results. But no, I think this year, I really don't know what it is, but at home we just feel really confident. Not that we don't feel confident on the road, but it's just, sleep in our own beds, get up, come to the park, and I just feel like that kind of routine aspect has been pretty good for us at home. But no, I think just being here is fun, and looking forward to playing tomorrow.
Last time you were here in an ACC tournament setting, you were the tournament's most outstanding player. You guys won the whole thing. How different are you as a baseball player, or even as a person, than that time 2 years ago?
Yeah, man, I was young. I was just flying by the seat of my pants, honestly, and just putting my head down and just trying to win games. Really just leaning on guys like Soretti and Zarate and guys like that who had done it for a while. Where we were playing good baseball then, and it just so happened that we came out on top. But to answer your question, I've learned a ton in 3 years. Know the game so much better. I'm just really raw. Just had a lot of athleticism early on, but now just know the ins and outs. Kind of understand my game, other people's games better. So that gives me ability to succeed and also help out younger guys.
Yeah. What's different about this team and that team, which was, again, a very good team, as is evident by the tournament championship a couple of years ago? What's different?
Yeah, this team.
It's a lot of the same guys too. I mean, some of obviously newcomers, but there's a core there with guys like you and Alberto, et cetera.
Yeah, this team has some similarities to 2022, but I think the difference is kind of our depth, just our team depth. There's guys up and down the lineup, and even guys on the bench that we have so much confidence in. To get the job done, and that just takes pressure off of every single other guy. That it doesn't have to be you that day. Anybody can step up there and have a good day and help us out. But compared to 2022, it was a different feeling, because this year we've kind of been playing well. Whereas opposed to 2022, we were playing really well, then we were playing as bad as you can, and then back good. So we haven't compared it too much, as a team. But I think the vibe of playing our best baseball at the right time has some similarities.
Yeah. I mentioned before or as I introduced you, Defensive Player of the Year, second year in a row. I think you know you're a good defensive player. I think you take pride in being a good defensive player. What goes into that? And like, where did that start? Because you're also a very good hitter, a very good base runner, right? I mean, you've got the numbers to show that too. At what point in your life did you really start to hone in on the defensive part of your game?
Man, well, I was a shortstop up until freshman year.
Right. Yeah.
And I kind of, once I got here, the infield was loaded with a lot of returners and a lot of really good players. And if I wanted a chance to play, it was, I need to go somewhere else. So took the bigger glove and ran to right field. And from then on, it was really just about, learning more about the outfield. And, I think preparation is all of it. In practice, getting first step reads, and, just initial jumps, and then kind of like your pre-pitch setup to allow you to get those jumps. That's the biggest thing. And, working with, the guys who have been here before me, and then also guys like Casey and D'Onofrio this year, just learning, kind of what helps them too. And our coaches do a great job, day in, day out to teach us and to help us.
You mentioned Soretti. He might be the answer to this question. When you started your career at North Carolina, who, and it can be multiple players, who were those leaders who really helped you kind of find your place, settle into the college game?
Yeah, Angel Zarate was the number one. I was out there with him, every day. Soretti was more of the, he's not going to say as much, but like his presence is there. And I think that was, a huge thing to kind of respect early on. Once we kind of got past winter break and into the season, he, turned around a little bit and started, helping us a ton, and becoming more of that, like, just complete, like, teammate and friend. Whereas at the beginning, it was like he kind of had his senior group, and we really didn't want to talk to him. He was one of those guys that, you didn't want to, like, say the wrong thing around. Whereas with Angel, I got pretty close pretty early, so that was probably easier.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. We haven't been able to connect the dots. I was on the broadcast when you broke the school's career home run record, something that was very cool to see, especially considering, if I'm not mistaken, I called your very first home run at Bosch.
Really?
Your freshman year. As, go figure, another ball leaves the yard.
Homer.
As we're watching Wake Forest and Pitt, by the way. This is live, and we're checking out some baseball. Merrick Houston with the long ball there.
The fans come for, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So career home run king at the University of North Carolina. I know it's not this central thing on your mind because you guys are here for a reason. Have you had a chance to, like, let it sink in yet? Like, I mean, that's a big deal. It's a record that stood for almost 40 years.
Honestly, no. I didn't really know it was even a thing until a few days prior. Then I started hearing about it a little bit more. So whenever, and that was like the first game that we played since I kind of started hearing about it more. So it was good to get out of the way.
Yeah, you didn't waste any time.
Yeah,
2 plate appearances, 2 long balls.
Yeah, it happened fast. So there wasn't a lot of time. But I think just being able to, I've been a childhood fan of North Carolina since who knows, as long as you can be. So just getting the opportunity to come here, and just accomplishing things along the way, this has been everything I've dreamed of and more.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was having a conversation earlier, maybe yesterday, here at Truist Field in Charlotte about your head coach, Scott Forbes. He won ACC Coach of the Year.
Sir.
And look, I mean, it's a weird time for coaches in that recruiting is different. There's NIL, and that changes things, right? Transferring is more encouraged and easier access there is to that now. For Coach Forbes, the conversation included, I think the reason North Carolina hasn't really been burned by the transfer portal is partly in what he recruits in players.
Yeah.
Because like you just said, you've been a fan of North Carolina. I don't know that it, you can characterize this however is accurate, but, there are people who want to be college baseball players, and there are people who want to be college baseball players at the University of North Carolina. And it just feels like you guys get more of those in your program than other programs do. Not that they don't exist elsewhere. Does that make sense? Does that align with what you know about your head coach?
100%. With the way that the portal and NIL has kind of changed college baseball, you have no choice but to adapt in that. But man, the way that they recruit and the way that they get the guys who want to be here, it's Carolina first. And if you're not on board with that, you're not here in the first place. And that's something that I respect more than anything about them. It's you're not entitled to anything. You owe UNC everything. They gave you this opportunity, and they don't owe you. So I think that kind of mentality of the way that he goes about it, to be able to get the guys who want to be here, and in turn, I think that helps us gel with those new guys so much more, because we kind of have that common goal of we love this place. We're here to win, and we're here to win for the program.
Let's talk about some of the other guys who maybe fit that description, who are part of this team. You talked about how Angel sort of guided you your first year in the outfield. I mean, you're flanked by a couple of guys who can really play. Casey Cook, we were talking about before we started, and Anthony's been a huge addition. D'Onofrio. We mentioned Casey and his sort of rises, adding that pop to his game as a hitter. And man, D'Onofrio, it's funny. He's an older guy, so according to if we were to go downstairs and talk to some scouts, it's kind of like do we reach for him even though we really like his game? But that doesn't matter as much as it does for you guys, because that experience comes into play, and it's meshed really, really well. I know Casey obviously was out there last year, but the addition of Anthony, you guys don't let much fall in the outfield grass, and not to mention it's three of the best hitters in the lineup too. What's the chemistry like between the outfield group?
Yeah, we were talking about it before. Casey and I, same class. We've lived together for the past 2 years. One of my best friends on the team. So we've kind of had that, and we played together last year, obviously. So we've had that, chemistry, connection, whatever it is. And then D'Onofrio, coming in, we talked about new guys, but as soon as he stepped on campus, we could just tell, the way he went about his business was exactly the way that you want guys to go about their business. Not to mention the talent that he has. So I think the biggest thing for us was kind of communication, talking in the outfield. We do have a lot of speed, we have a lot of talent out there. So, we don't want to take over someone else's, ground, or we don't want to, just get in the way of anybody. Kind of just, allow ourselves to talk early, and, trust each other that, if it's in one spot, that guy's gonna make the play.
This reminds me, you said you referred to yourself being a shortstop before, now obviously being an outfielder. Correct me if I'm wrong. Casey was same thing, right? He was an infielder, and he's been converted to that left field spot. Have you found yourself sort of giving him pointers on the adjustment, or vice versa? You guys just talk about it fluidly? What's that like?
That happened a good amount last year. It was his first year out there. He still talks to me a lot about turning his back to the ball, things like that. Whenever the ball is hit over his head, just different things that with more experience you kind of pick up. But no, the conversations at this point are super fluid, and just honestly learning from each other and just picking each other's brains has been really helpful.
Yeah. This is maybe difficult to answer in a vacuum. You could either rob a home run or hit a home run. Which are you picking?
I'm gonna rob it.
Nice. Okay. Why?
Doesn't happen as often.
Yeah.
Like we said, there's been a ton of homers already, but I don't think anybody's robbed one yet.
No.
I think it's at the end of the day, if you can rob one, you can look at it both ways. You're saving your team a run or two, So therefore, like, kind of the same as you can look at it kind of like hitting one.
Yeah, it's value equal.
Yeah.
Equal value. Yeah.
No, I think since it doesn't happen as often, I think it's a cool thing. But you gotta have some luck going into it for sure.
Now, we of course keep track of your home runs. I mentioned you're the career home run leader now for North Carolina.
Oh my go.
Do you count robberies in your career? Like, do you have a count in your head of how many you've taken away? Because I don't know. I'm trying to think in my brain of robberies off the top of my head. Is that something that you count? Like, you've stolen
three.
Okay.
Three. Yeah. I think we had 4 or 5 last year.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of luck goes into it. I think it's got to get hit perfectly.
Well, yeah. Like, what's the likelihood that a ball is hit just over the wall? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's got to check that box first. Then you got to get to it and reel it in.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great stuff. I had a question that I was going to ask, and after that, now totally lost it. That's all right. We'll pick back up where we're going. This week, this tournament for you guys. What's the team mindset? I was talking to Aaron Fitt of D1 downstairs, and the belief is you guys are locked into a top 8 seed. I know you probably try not to assume such things, but obviously the slightest run here in Charlotte would basically secure that. I don't want to call it meaningless because they're not meaningless games, but what is sort of the message for the team this week in trying to you're obviously trying to win the games, trying to win an ACC title.
Yeah, no, our goal is we came here to win it. We're very process oriented in the way that we like to go about our business. We were focused on practicing at Charlotte this morning, and now it's hanging out, watching these games, and tomorrow it'll be about tomorrow. But I think our goal, our mindset is come to Charlotte, win the tournament. I think we're still doubted by a lot of people in the country, and I think it's just another statement. We had a good regular season, but talk about all the time, that's over with. Coach Ford was telling us the other day, we haven't done anything. We haven't done anything yet. So I think that's just another statement, another layer of the 2024 season.
I got my question back, by the way, for the record, professional here. We were talking about your defense. Now, I asked you if you could count the number of home runs you've robbed. Does a number like defensive runs saved, like, does that matter to you? Like, if I tell you you're over 12, I think it's up to 14 maybe defensive runs saved this season. Is that something like it's not something you can aim for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with a home run, you're trying to hit the ball hard. You're trying to hit something that might go over the yard out of the yard for a home run. Do you look into numbers like that? Is that part of like sort of the evaluation process?
I don't follow it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how it's calculated.
Yeah.
So I couldn't give you a good gauge on
I'll
that.
give you the easy part. If you rob a home run, it would have been a 3-run homer. That's 3 runs saved.
Okay.
So you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the simplest of plays.
And it averages out, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think at the end of the regular season, you were like a .07 at the end of yours. I have no idea how the .07 comes about, but
Not sure. Yeah, no. Like I said, I don't follow it, and I would have no clue how to start calculating that.
As a high schooler, the game was very intuitive to you. I'm sure, right? Like you're just kind of seeing what you see and letting it rip.
Yeah.
How has that changed over the years? Because I mean, you guys, as well as anybody, are inclusive of numbers and tendencies and things like that. And I know, for a lot of hitters, especially jumping levels, that influx of information can be something that can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you've obviously done really well with it, especially with your start at the immediate beginning of your career. Was that more just kind of ignoring it and playing instinctive baseball? And has that changed at all over the past couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is adjustability, right? I mean, like you said, you're in high school. You have no video. You have no nothing. Yeah. You don't know what the guy's got. You just kind of sit up there, and then you can figure it out as you go. But I think the main thing that changes is just the pace of the game. So adjusting to that, like as a freshman in the fall, adjusting to what you used to see, which was probably 80 to 85, and now it's 90 to 95 every single day. So like there isn't a ton that I like did, more of just kind of get the information that you can get, like what the pitcher has, how hard it is. That's kind of the main stuff that I like to look at anyways. I don't really go into a ton of the analytics side of things. But no, I think the biggest thing though, that the best piece of advice and that I've gotten is just go be yourself, be an athlete. Take what you need and then just, focus on what you need to do to be successful rather than like focusing on all the other things.
Yeah. I just realized, by the way, I never explained where we are. We're right down the first baseline. So like this is where team radio is. So for those watching on YouTube or wherever, you see the reflection off of the window behind us of the beautiful skyline. We tried unsuccessfully to get a setup with this in the backdrop, but that's okay. We do what we can. So we talked defense, we talked hitting. You steal a lot of bases too. When was the last time you stole a base because you were actually given a signal to steal a base? I know Coach Forbes has told me you've pretty much got the green light.
I don't know if I have. Credit to Coach. He trusts me on that side of on that aspect. So, maybe it's like a 3-2, have to run type of deal.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, it's kind of just if I can get the jump, then he trusts me with it.
That started when?
Freshman year.
You were a freshman, and he just said, "Just let it rip, go for it."
Yeah,
I love that. That's. I knew that. He had told me this year, pretty much green light, just go.
Mm-hmm.
Vance goes when he wants to. I did not realize that's basically been your entire time at North Carolina. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, he's aggressive, great. So I like that. I like that side. You're allowed to go for it.
How much does that play into what this North Carolina team is offensively? Because you're not the only one. Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm not mistaken, D'Onofrio is kind of the same way. Yeah. He just goes when he wants, and more often than not, it works. I was explaining to somebody the other day about the dynamic nature of your guys' lineup. There's a little bit of everything. There's pop, there's speed, but it also is like the little things all the time pay off for you guys. Like just moving a runner over. Guys, not just scoring on sac fly balls, but, advancing from tagging from second to third on a fly ball. That I feel like that happens every game for you guys. How much is the base stealing and the speed a priority for you guys in terms of, just like deliberately doing it? Because I don't know if you knew this, North Carolina is undefeated this season in games in which you steal a base.
Really?
Yeah.
Hope that doesn't jinx it. Knock on some wood.
Yeah, here we go. I've said it multiple times, and it's still it's worked out. I've been saying it for weeks.
Okay. I think the speed and the ability to steal bags, that's kind of a luxury. That's not really something that you can teach. We have 3 or 4 guys that are have the ability to steal bags. If they get the right jump. But the little things that you talked about, runner on second, nobody out. We kind of we focus on a ton. Moving that guy to third. If you can get a runner into third base with less than 2, the numbers are pretty good. And I think. Once again, that's just something that we kind of all bought into. Where you win games is scoring runs, and that's just kind of what we're all about. Not really focused on our individual stats or whatever it is. It's more of we're trying to win, and whatever way to do that, we're all for.
I feel like I'm keeping you from scouting some competition. These are the 2 teams in your guys' pool: Wake Forest and Pitt playing currently. You guys had a very successful weekend when you went to Winston-Salem, but I know you're aware of the great team that they are. What kind of challenges do they present?
Yeah. To start, you're facing Burns Friday night, 7:00 in this ballpark, so that's the number one thing. That's the excitement of it. I think that's the challenge everybody wants. That's why you came to North Carolina, and if you don't want that, then you wouldn't have came here in the first place. So to be able to strap it on and play these guys, is going to be a lot of fun. But first we gotta take care of business against Pitt tomorrow. So that's kind of where our head's at for the most part.
Yeah, and Pitt, we were talking before we started rolling. We both like them. They're scrappy. You guys saw them early in the year, and just because they snuck in, and I got maybe a little flamed for it, Vance. I wrote them off, and I don't know if you saw their hype video on Twitter. You should look at it. I'm the main character, and not in the good way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, but it's okay. And now I'm actively rooting for them. It'd be nice to see them pull off a couple of wins, but of course, wishing you success equally. You talk about the Friday night game.
Yeah.
Typically, the league likes to schedule local teams that are going to draw a crowd for that. Two good teams in this case, it's you guys in Wake Forest. A broader question, and obviously you've played well in this setting before. How much do you feel like big games? Like, do they feel different than others? Is that something that you feed off of? You kind of ignore? You're indifferent toward it?
I'm going to be honest. The only thing is like maybe the noise, but like the people themselves, like I don't really even notice them. But like I said, like the crowds that we can play in front of, like those are reasons why you come to school here. That's why you want to play in the ACC. That's why you want to play in conferences like this, to be able to play in front of these crowds. So I think those are stuff that those just kind of aspects that guys like me and guys like that we have on our team just kind of relish in. So it's not pressure. It's more of just a privilege.
Yeah. All right. A couple quick ones before I let you go. You've been great with time, so I appreciate it. Pitching staff has taken its lumps this year, especially, losing Knapp prior to the start of the season. There goes your assumed Friday starter. Folger's injury as the next in line to be the Friday starter, but Jason DeCaro has been awesome. Shea Sprague has been awesome. It feels like there was sort of some doubt given the injuries about those two and the way they would perform. And then next thing you know, they're both all ACC selections. You feel pretty good about the pitching staff and the guys that are out there.
Yeah. Utmost confidence in all those guys. That's a credit to them. Just, you can't control injuries. They're part of the game, but they're brutal. And, Shea, Jason, Aiden, plenty more have stepped up. And they've been able to get the job done so far, and that's all you can ask for. So, like I said, total confidence in every guy that we put out there, and just looking forward to continue to watch him because it's fun to play behind him.
Yeah. All right, Jody here told me that when you guys got in town, you went and got a nice dinner last night. What was the order?
I got a New York strip.
There you go.
And we had mashed potatoes and broccoli as a side. And then there was a cheesecake dinner or dessert.
Okay. Anything on it, like a fruit?
It was blueberries. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really eat it.
Okay.
I'm not a big cheesecake guy. But
that's fair. That's fair.
Apparently it was really good. So McCormick and Schmitz, good job.
Vance Honeycutt, star center fielder for North Carolina. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you coming up. We're like a long way up here and out of the way, so I appreciate you walking over and spending some time with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Excellent stuff.